You have been sold a dangerous lie. Society conditions you to believe that being the bigger person means extending endless forgiveness. That true strength lies in turning the other cheek. But look where that gets you. Your boundaries are trampled, your energy is drained, and the same people who demanded your mercy continue to disrespect you. You are not practicing virtue, you are practicing self-abandonment. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most unapologetic philosophers, saw right through this. He called it the morality of weakness, a mindset designed to keep you docile, accommodating, and ultimately powerless. Nietzsche argued that true individual strength is measured by your capacity to defend your own worth. Forgiving everything doesn't make you a saint. It strips away your dignity. If you are ready to reclaim your personal power, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and share this message. Leave a comment below on which boundary you find hardest to enforce. We are building a community of deep thinkers here. There are 7 specific acts of disrespect that, according to the philosophy of self-mastery, you must never forgive. Tolerating them even once sends a signal to the world that your self-respect is negotiable. The first unforgivable act is deliberate deception. We all make mistakes. A white lie to spare a momentary feeling is human. But looking you in the eye and intentionally feeding you a fabricated reality, knowing it will harm you, that is not an error. That is a calculated insult to your intelligence. When someone lies to you with intent, they are making a silent declaration. You do not deserve the truth, and you are not sharp enough to realize I am withholding it. Forgiving a calculated lie teaches the liar that your reality is theirs to distort. Nietzsche viewed truth as a profound form of courage. A habitual liar is not just disrespectful, they are fundamentally cowardly. Cutting them off isn't holding a grudge, it is an act of intellectual self-defense. You cannot build a foundation of power with someone who actively dismantles the ground you walk on. The second act you must stop tolerating is public humiliation disguised as humor. It starts subtly. A sarcastic jab at a dinner party. A passive-aggressive remark about your ambitions in front of your peers. They call it a joke. They tell you that you are too sensitive. But make no mistake, this is a power play. Ridicule is a weapon used by the weak to gain leverage in a social hierarchy. By belittling you publicly, they attempt to shrink your presence so theirs can expand. And what do? You force a laugh. You swallow the insult to keep the peace. Every time you smile through public disrespect, you condition your own mind to accept a lower status. A strong individual does not allow the herd to define their worth. You must stop laughing at jokes designed to break you. The next time it happens, hold eye contact. Do not smile. Let the silence stretch until the room feels the weight of their disrespect. Your absolute refusal to entertain their manipulation will speak volumes. The third violation of your character that you must ruthlessly eliminate is the chronic disregard for your personal boundaries. Society often romanticizes the idea of being endlessly accommodating. You are told to be flexible, to go with the flow, to be the person who never causes friction. But observe the cost of this extreme flexibility. People begin to invade your physical and emotional space. They demand your time as if they own it. They dump their emotional baggage onto you without asking for permission, and they make decisions on your behalf, assuming you will simply comply. Why does this happen? It is not an accident. Human interactions are a constant, silent negotiation of power. People are inherently wired to test the fences. They push slightly, a late phone call, a demanding request, an inappropriate comment, just to see what you will do. When you stay silent to avoid a confrontation, you are not keeping the peace. You are actively handing them the blueprint on how to exploit you. Friedrich Nietzsche understood that an individual who cannot establish their own laws will inevitably become subject to the laws of others. His concept of the will to power is widely misunderstood as the desire to dominate others. In reality, its highest form is the absolute mastery over oneself. To possess self-mastery, you must draw a line in the sand. Boundaries are the architecture of your dignity. They communicate to the world what is acceptable and what means immediate exile from your life. If you do not aggressively protect your own energetic borders, nobody else will. You must become terrifyingly comfortable with saying, without an apology, without an elaborate explanation. No is a complete sentence and enforcing it is the ultimate philosophical act of self-love. The fourth transgression you must never forgive is the weaponization of your own kindness. Being generous is an indicator of inner abundance. It takes strength to be kind in a harsh world. However, there is a dangerous breed of individuals who scan the room specifically looking for this trait, not to reciprocate it, but to consume it. They view your empathy not as a gift, but as a vulnerability to be exploited. You know exactly who these people are. They are the opportunistic vampires who only materialize when they need a favor, a loan, or a shoulder to cry on. They demand more of your time, more of your resources, more of your energy. Yet the moment the tables turn, the moment you are the one sinking and gasping for air, they are nowhere to be found. This unbalanced dynamic is what Nietzsche fiercely criticized when he dissected the morality of weakness. He argued that society has been conditioned to elevate pity and unconditional self-sacrifice as supreme virtues, which allows parasitic individuals to guilt-trip the strong into serving them. When you continue to forgive someone who only values you for what you can extract from yourself to give to them, you are participating in your own depletion. You are enabling opportunism disguised as friendship. Stop being a rehabilitation center for people who have no intention of treating you as an equal. True strength requires discernment. It requires the wisdom to know that your kindness is a privilege, not a public utility. If someone only respects you when you are actively doing them a favor, they do not respect you at all. They only respect the utility you provide. Cut the cord, walk away. Reserving your energy for those who actually reciprocate your loyalty is not selfish. It is the fundamental requirement for maintaining your mental resilience. The fifth unforgivable act is allowing yourself to be treated as a contingency plan. We live in an era of endless digital availability, where benching and sembient spignering have become normalized social behaviors. You know the exact pattern. They ghost you for weeks. They cancel plans at the 11th hour because something objectively better came up. Then, when crushing boredom strikes or their primary options fall through, they reappear with a casual text, expecting your unwavering availability. And the brutal, uncomfortable truth, you often give it to them. You reply instantly. You adjust your schedule to accommodate their fleeting convenience. You rationalize their absence, telling yourself they are just busy. This is not a reflection of their chaotic schedule. It is a calculated, real-time measure of your perceived value in their hierarchy. Nietzsche wrote extensively on the concept of creating your own worth. Value is never magically assigned to you by society. It is forged entirely by your own actions and standards. When you allow someone to treat you as a disposable alternative, you are actively participating in your own devaluation. You are handing them a megaphone to announce that your time is cheap and your self-respect is a mere illusion. A strong individual understands a fundamental, unshakable law of human dynamics. Your presence is a premium privilege. If they cannot commit to you as a priority, they must immediately lose you as an option entirely. Erase their access to you. Disappear. Do not draft a long, emotional paragraph announcing your departure. Just ruthlessly remove your energy from their orbit. Respect is rarely won through desperate negotiation. It is commanded by your absolute, terrifying willingness to walk away. The sixth behavior you must aggressively reject is the systemic invalidation of your emotions. You know the script. It sounds exactly like this. You're overreacting again. You're just being way too sensitive. It wasn't even that big of a deal. Get over it. Do not brush this off as a personality quirk or poor communication. This is tactical, deliberate emotional manipulation. It is psychological warfare designed to keep you off balance. When someone consistently minimizes your response to their toxic actions, they are not attempting to understand your perspective. They are actively trying to evade accountability. By forcing you to doubt your own internal emotional compass, they slowly erode your grasp on objective reality. Over time, the poison sets in. You stop trusting your own instincts. You begin to shrink your presence, silencing your own legitimate pain just to avoid being labeled difficult or crazy. Nietzsche viewed human emotions not as fragile, embarrassing flaws, but as the raw, unfiltered expression of your will to power and your deeply personal lived experience. Your anger, your hurt, your sharp frustration. These are your mind's evolutionary defense mechanisms alerting you that a critical boundary has been breached. When someone ridicules or dismisses those signals, they are attempting to conquer your reality. They are diminishing your existence simply to make themselves feel comfortable in their own toxicity. Never, under any circumstances, forgive the person who demands that you silence your truth to accommodate their fragile ego. You do not owe anyone a detailed explanation of why their blatant disrespect hurt you. Stop arguing with people who are fiercely committed to misunderstanding you. The very moment someone tells you that your pain is invalid, the conversation is permanently over. Your psychological reality is non-negotiable. But there is one final, ultimate betrayal that shatters the foundation of human connection entirely. It is the single act that permanently alters the psychological landscape of any relationship, and tolerating it even once guarantees your complete destruction. What is this final, unforgivable act, and why did Nietzsche consider it the ultimate test of human loyalty? The seventh and final transgression is the calculated destruction of foundational trust. We are not talking about human error. We are talking about betrayal, infidelity, leaking a deeply personal vulnerability to outsiders, sabotaging your reputation behind your back. Trust is the invisible currency of all profound human connection. It takes years of consistent, honorable behavior to build, and only a single, deliberate act of treachery to annihilate. Nietzsche held a very specific view on loyalty. He did not see it as a submissive trait. He viewed the ability to make and keep a promise as the ultimate hallmark of a powerful, sovereign individual. Only a person in complete control of themselves has the strength to honor an oath. A betrayer, therefore, is fundamentally weak. They are driven by momentary impulses, cowardly self-interest, and a chaotic internal landscape. When you forgive a profound betrayal, you think you are showing grace. You are not. You are signaling to a predator that your loyalty is cheap, and your boundaries are an illusion. You are teaching them that they can fracture your reality without facing any tangible consequences. A strong individual understands that certain acts break the psychological contract of a relationship permanently. There is no going back. The bridge is burned, and you must refuse to stand in the ashes, so you now possess the map. You know the 7 unforgivable acts: deliberate deception, public humiliation disguised as humor, chronic boundary invasion, the opportunistic weaponization of your kindness, being treated as a contingency plan, emotional invalidation, and the ultimate betrayal of trust. But knowing what to reject is only half the battle. The real challenge, the absolute hardest part of this philosophical shift, is the execution. How do you actually walk away? How do you cut these people out without being dragged into an exhausting, toxic vortex of arguments, gaslighting, and fake apologies? This is where most people fail. They identify the disrespect, but then they demand closure. They write the long, emotionally bleeding text message. They sit the toxic person down and beg them to understand why they are hurt. Stop doing this. You cannot negotiate your self-worth with someone who benefits from tearing it down. We must look to the Stoics for the practical application of Nietzsche's philosophy. Marcus Aurelius did not waste his breath explaining his boundaries to fools or manipulators. He simply withdrew his attention. The ultimate demonstration of your personal power is not a screaming match. It is the absolute chilling withdrawal of your energy. Silence, total, unbothered absence. You do not owe an abuser an explanation for your departure. But when you finally implement this, when you go silent and build that impenetrable wall, something terrifying is going to happen. The toxic individuals in your life will not just let you go. They will escalate. They will launch a counterattack designed to break your resolve and drag you back into your old, compliant, people-pleasing habits. This psychological backlash is the most dangerous phase of your transformation. If you are not prepared for it, you will cave. How do you survive this retaliation? How do you hold your ground when they start painting you as the villain to everyone you know? When you stop forgiving the unforgivable, you disrupt an entire ecosystem that relied on your compliance. The people who historically exploited your kindness will not suddenly respect your new boundaries. They will panic. They will deploy what psychologists call an extinction burst, a violent, temporary escalation of toxic behavior when a manipulator realizes they are losing control. They will launch smear campaigns. They will twist the narrative to make you the villain. They will recruit mutual friends to guilt trip you back into submission. This is the exact moment most people break. They surrender their newfound power just to stop the discomfort of being disliked. But this is the crucible Nietzsche prepared us for. When he wrote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," he was not talking about surviving random illnesses. He was talking about surviving the deliberate, painful destruction of your old, weak, people-pleasing self. Let them talk. Let them paint you as the antagonist in a story they fabricated to hide their own guilt. A sovereign individual does not litigate their reality in the court of public opinion. You do not need to defend your boundaries. You only need to enforce them. Your absolute, unbothered silence is an impenetrable shield. You must embrace the concept of amor fati, the love of one's fate. Do not just tolerate the backlash. Love it. Love the fact that this retaliation is happening, because it is the ultimate, undeniable proof that your boundaries are actively working. The friction you feel is simply the sound of parasitic attachments being severed from your life. The trash is taking itself out. We have completely dismantled the 7 unforgivable transgressions: deliberate deception, public humiliation disguised as humor, chronic boundary invasion, the opportunistic weaponization of your kindness, being treated as a disposable option, psychological invalidation, and the ultimate betrayal of foundational trust. Society has lied to you by insisting that forgiving these acts makes you a morally superior person. It does not. It makes you a volunteer victim. Wisdom is understanding that forgiveness is a premium currency. It is reserved exclusively for those who demonstrate genuine remorse through consistent, changed behavior. It is not a free pass for predators to wipe their slates clean at your expense. Your dignity is the architecture of your existence. If you do not protect it ruthlessly, the world will trample it effortlessly. When you finally draw a hard line and stop accepting disrespect, your social circle will inevitably shrink. Let it shrink. The quality of your human experience is never determined by the quantity of people surrounding you, but by the caliber of respect they are forced to bring to the table. Stand firm in your sovereignty. Walk away from any room, any relationship, and any situation that requires you to shrink your existence. Because at the end of the day, the world will only ever value you exactly as much as you demand to be valued.